The Phoenix Suns have finally finalized their coaching staff heading in to the upcoming NBA season. Head coach Mike Budenholzer picking his assistant coaching staff filled with former head coaches, former players, and high-level assistants. We are going to break down what this means to the Phoenix Suns and some slight difficulty the Suns had in putting this staff together. We're going to break it down right here on Suns Digest. My name is CJ Pierre. Thanks for joining us, you guys. We appreciate you guys so much. The biggest news coming out of the Suns releasing their final coaching staff heading into the upcoming season is that apparently they were having some issues getting the money together to get the staff that they wanted. We're going to get into that right here in a little bit. Before we do that, we noticed that about 82% of you guys have been watching our videos, but you haven't yet subscribed to the channel. If you want to make sure you're keeping up to date with all of the latest Phoenix Suns news, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing that we are going to have cooking up for you guys as we head in to the upcoming season. Now, let's get into this latest report that the Suns had a hard time filling their coaching staff just a one season after hiring Frank Vogel. The Suns were ousted in the playoffs, swept by the Minnesota Timberwolves for nothing, and they fired Frank Vogel, moving on to Mike Budenholzer and having to basically fill up a whole new staff. And now it is official that Mike Budenholzer has finalized his coaching staff. If we can see right here, there's Chad Forcier, David Fizdale, Vince Lagarza, Mike Hopkins, Brent Berry, James Posey, Tayshaun Allen, and Shyler Remmer. Some of these names you may recognize, some that you don't. We're going to get into which one of these names are probably going to be the most significant in a little bit here, but let's just kind of get into this report here in terms of the Suns having some difficulty hiring this staff. Coming from the Arizona Republic's Dwayne Rankin, saying sources inform the Republic that the Suns were having a hard time filling out their coaching staff as they're still paying Vogel, former head coach Frank Vogel. Fizdale is the only holdover from Vogel's staff. David Fizdale, again, was a part of the staff with the Phoenix Suns that was ousted in the playoffs. And he is the one holdover that kind of comes over and is going to stick with the franchise, stick with the team, with this new regime. He's probably going to be the more assistant head coach role, kind of like the coordinator, if you will, for this staff. But there's kind of big news here coming that's saying that the Suns, who are already cap strapped when it comes to the player roster, kind of have strapped themselves when it comes to their budget in terms of filling out a coaching staff. Frank Vogel was only fired after his first year with the team, just one season in after his stint with the Lakers, where he won an NBA championship. Coming to Phoenix and basically just supposed to be the head of the snake here with the big three and Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal. Just a disappointing exit to the season, getting swept in the first round. That's not what you want. But owner Matt Ishbia, GM James Jones deciding that they wanted to go into a different direction and right away and go with Mike Budenholzer. So when it comes to that, they're still paying Vogel his money. He's got a guaranteed contract. He's going to get paid his full salary. And then they signed Mike Budenholzer. Vogel fired after one season of a 5-year, $31 million deal. And then right after that, they signed new head coach Mike Budenholzer, who signed a 5-year contract that's worth over $50 million. So it's a lot of money going into just the top two, their last two head coaches. That kind of taps the well dry when it comes to trying to hire high level assistants. But I still feel like the Suns did a pretty good job in filling out this coaching staff with a former head coach, high level assistants who have been in the NBA for decades, and then some former players. Now we're going to take a quick look and see which of these guys are going to be the Suns coaches to watch, the assistants that are really going to have their fingerprints and a big impact on what the Suns do this upcoming season. As we know, head coach Mike Budenholzer, he's going to be the main man. He's going to be the head man in charge, operating what we are expecting to be a high level offense with a heavy focus on perimeter shooting and perimeter offense, which is hopefully going to benefit the likes of Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal, three of the best perimeter players in the game. But it should also open things up for a guy like Yusuf Nurkic, and that is helped by the addition of Tyus Jones at point guard Yusuf Nurkic will be able to, develop a little bit more in terms of his pick and roll offense, and hopefully find more areas to be successful on defense as well. But I think having Tyus Jones with Mike Budenholzer's offense will open things up for Jokic and allow him to be more effective as well. Grayson Allen moving to the bench if the lineups that we predicted kind of hold. He'll be kind of that microwave scorer that you need. They've got some young players in Ryan Dunn and also Iguodala who will probably get some spot minutes. The addition of Monte Morris, the addition of Mason Plumlee, I think that the Phoenix Suns will be lined up for success under head coach Mike Budenholzer. But then when it comes to the assistants and the impact that they have, assistant coaching is a big deal in the NBA. A lot of these guys are the guys who really develop those personal relationship with the players and allow them to really take in what the head coach wants and putting into a different tone in a different way necessarily not hearing the head coach's voice in practice. These are the guys that the players maybe talk with while they're traveling, say things that they're seeing in terms of different matchups when it comes to different games against different players, and guys who are just implementing different aspects of the system. So let's take a highlight to David Fizdale, the former head coach of the New York Knicks. He also spent time as the coach with the Memphis Grizzlies, a highly regarded head coach in the NBA circles. Again, the one holdover from Frank Vogel staff. He was also with Frank Vogel in LA when they won a championship. David Fizdale is one of the guys that I think is going to have the biggest impact in terms of the assistant coaches and what the Phoenix Suns do. He's someone who gets along really well with the players, and I think he's someone that's going to really help convey Mike Budenholzer's message in a very clear and clear cut way. I think he's someone that probably the Suns could have used during Monty Williams' stint with DeAndre Ayton. I think he's someone that could have been that buffer in between Williams and Ayton in that regard. But I think David Fizdale being on the staff, remaining with the staff, is one of the high points. He's also a good defensive mind, and this is probably the biggest question mark with the Phoenix Suns is what they're going to be able to do defensively. They have a lot of offensive centric players with not a lot of defensive stoppers expecting to get a lot of minutes. You maybe have, Mason Plumlee, Josh Okogie, Royce O'Neal to some extent, but that's about it. Everybody else is primarily offensive players. They have the ability to lock down defensively at times. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, they've shown the ability to really buckle in and strap guys in to the seatbelt, if you will, on the defensive end. But to be consistent, team defense, it's not really Nurkic's game. It's not really Beal's game. It's not really Tyus Jones' game to an extent. Grayson Allen. It's not necessarily where they excel, but David Fizdale kind of taking more of the reins on what the defense is, as opposed to Frank Vogel, I think could have a very significant impact. The next two names I want to highlight in terms of the Suns coaching staff that I think will have the biggest impact after Fizdale are the two former players that have joined the staff, that being James Posey and Brent Barry. These guys have loads and loads of NBA experience. They've both been NBA champions in the past on successful teams. Brent Barry with the San Antonio Spurs, James Posey twice, once with the Boston Celtics, and also with the Miami Heat. I think these guys are going to be the real voices that carry a lot of weight with these players. James Posey is someone who is really has in his career was one of those main 3-and-D guys, really solid defender as well as someone who could make shots from the perimeter. Brent Barry being one of the real sharpshooters in the NBA, also won a slam dunk contest in his heyday. But he's someone that these are the guys that the players are probably going to relate to the most. Guys who have been there, been through the grind, been playing high level basketball for a long period of time. For both those guys' cases, they've seen it, they know it, they understand the game, they understand the ins and outs of what's happening, and if they are able to get acclimated to what Mike Budenholzer wants to do, that's gonna go well as well. Brent Barry, familiar with Mike Budenholzer, he was a part of those San Antonio Spurs teams that Mike Budenholzer was an assistant of with Greg Popovich, so they're familiar with each other. James Posey has not necessarily is just kind of getting his feet wet in the coaching ranks, so he's probably going to take a back seat in terms of what he's doing as far as X's and O's sides, and really probably work more so on the intricacies of what the players are doing, the ins and outs, what they're doing on the court, what they're seeing, trying to map things out. I think that's kind of where James Posey will have his greatest impact. But when you look at just the assistant coaching staff as a whole, I think Phoenix Suns fans can be really happy in terms of where they ended up compared to what the position that they could have been in. I think Mike Budenholzer did a really good job finding guys that he relates with, finding guys that he has connections with, and making sure that he found guys that are going to be able to relate with the players. Dave Fizdale, former head coach, Brent Barry, a former player, James Posey also was a part of that Washington Wizards coaching staff for a season with Bradley Beal. Hopefully, there's a connection there that can hopefully bring the best out of Bradley Beal as well. So I think it's really great to see the Suns coaching staff official along with this roster. Obviously, there are still a potential change. The Phoenix Suns still have 16 active players on their roster, which they can't do. We're still waiting to see what happens there. But once the Olympics are over and once we get Kevin Durant and Devin Booker back into the fold, back working out with the team as we head into training camp, we'll be able to finally really map out what this team is going to look like heading into the upcoming season, which we are expecting to be a championship or bust season. All right, that's all the time I got for you guys this time. If you want to make sure you're keeping up to date with all of the latest Suns news and updates, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what we are going to have for you guys. We appreciate all of the love and support. We are going to continue trying to grow this channel as we continue to move forward into the upcoming season. Let us know what you guys think, any topics you guys want us to address in the comment section below, and we'll get to them. My name's CJ Pierre again. Thanks for joining us here on Suns Digest, and go Phoenix Suns.